Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6, I believe, of Weekly Oscar Talk. Just me this week. Ben and Anthony, it's Thanksgiving time. Everyone's busy traveling, doing all sorts of stuff, so hard to find a specific time for everyone to record together. So this week, you're stuck with me. Next week, we'll hopefully have at least one other person, but just me this week. Not a ton to talk about, but a decent amount, and some fun reviews at the end of King Richard and Tick Tick Boom. Busy weekend this past weekend, movie watching wise. But starting off with the news, we got our first reactions to Don't Look Up, Adam McKay's upcoming satire film going to Netflix about a asteroid about to hit Earth with a crazy cast. I think everyone already knows everyone who's in the cast: Leo, J Law, Meryl Streep, all of them. So if you've been watching, I personally haven't had a ton of faith in this. That was probably because I personally am not a big fan of Adam McKay and his style and his previous films. Ben has had a ton of faith in this. He's been hugely backing this film. So sadly, he's not here to rub it in my face, but he can do that next week. Or when we see it, maybe. Who knows? Maybe this will be the first Adam McKay film I truly like. But getting into the reactions, yeah, in general, they say it's a really funny, hard-hitting, relevant satire. But let's get into some specific ones. Get into the nitty-gritty. So Ann Thompson says Adam McKay's Don't Look Up is a dead serious and hilarious end-of-the-world comedy. Melancholia meets Dr. Strangelove with a top ensemble in fine form, led by DiCaprio, Lawrence, and Streep. DiCaprio had been seeking a film to address the climate crisis in just the right way. DiCaprio is very active in the whole climate change, pursuing stuff to actually do to help stop climate change. He's very active in that. So I'm glad he found a movie for pushing that message more. But hopefully Adam McKay doesn't push it. But according to some of these reactions, he pushes it maybe a little too much. Adam McKay, that is. A little too bluntly. But continuing, Kyle Buchanan said, "Don't Look Up. I suspect the Academy will find this very shrimpy." Whatever that means, I'm not quite sure. Much to discuss, including Leonardo DiCaprio in a love triangle with two women over 40. He's finally going for younger women, wow, or older women. He always goes for younger women. Ariana Grande as Vox Lux, and a terrifyingly yassified Cate Blanchett as Vox Mika, however you say her last name. I did see Cate Blanchett in those trailers. She looks unrecognizable almost. She looks good, but unrecognizable still. Eric Davis says, "We've seen how the U.S. reacts to an impending apocalyptic disaster in other movies, but how would we really react? Don't Look Up is a hilarious and horrifying satire about how painstakingly hard it is for us to actually save the day. It's what you expect, but it's super entertaining." Let's do one more. I don't want to keep going and on reading other people's reactions. Last one. Eric Anderson said, "Don't Look Up has some sharp capitalist and political satire, if inconsistent humor. Leonardo DiCaprio is incredibly great here and gets an explosive Peter Finch and Network moment. That's nice. Streep, Lawrence, and Rylance are all good. Ariana Grande's song is fucking hilarious." So yeah, really positive. I mean, everyone seems to generally lean positive on the film, even if there are nitpicks. I have seen some people pointing out, I forget who, but I have read some tweets saying that I mean, it was to be expected, but Adam McKay was a little forward and blunt in the way he goes about his messaging, as he usually does within his films. But this is a good message, so it's not per se a terrible thing to do. But yeah, I think I've been denying it, but this is going to be an Oscar contender right here. This is probably going to get into picture. I feel like there are now 9 very likely, almost locks in picture, and now we're just waiting for who's going to get that 10th spot, since this, I think, just secured the 9th spot. Picture. We're going to talk about actor a little later, but DiCaprio is certainly possible. I mean, almost likely. We'll see. Streep could sneak into supporting actress. I don't know if Jonah Hill or Rylance could get into supporting actor, maybe. I would imagine script, also screenplay. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think it's going to be a huge contender, like into a ton of categories, but I think it'll get like picture and one or two other nominations. So yeah, don't look up. It's happening. It's happening. Um, Also in news, I wanted to do a quick mini rant here at, in particular, one of the trades, Variety. This past week, there were two things in articles and headlines that they ran that I just wasn't a huge fan of. The first would be, Kristen Stewart did this interview with them, I believe, with Clayton Davis, and they ran a headline article in an article about it, saying, I believe Kristen Stewart does not give a shit about her Oscar buzz right now. And then I read the article and then I watched the actual interview, and that's just misleading. I feel like that's not exactly quite what she said. And I feel like that's I don't know how much the Academy truly cares about people saying that. I mean, like Frances McDormand didn't like truly care about the Academy. Anthony Hopkins hasn't said great things, neither has Joaquin Phoenix. So I don't know how much it truly impacts someone's Oscar chances. I mean, all of those actors have had a lot more Oscar pedigree surrounding them before they won and before they said those things. Unlike Kristen Stewart, who does not currently have that Oscar pedigree, but I think she will get it with this movie. Um, but yeah, I just felt like that's unnecessary. Like out of all the things you talked about in that interview, that's what you're gonna make the headline, and it's not even completely like accurate to what was said. That's just like as someone who's rooting for Kristen Stewart, it's like, did you really have to do that? Like, I feel like it's unnecessary. And then the other unnecessary thing they did this week, sorry, I said it was a mini rant. They asked Jane Campion if she wants to make a superhero film. Can we get over this asking every freaking filmmaker on earth if they want to make a superhero film? I know it's the biggest genre right now. It's like the only thing keeping movie theaters alive, and we all appreciate that. But it's like, I believe I said this on Twitter, it's like asking Gordon Ramsay if he wants to become a manager at McDonald's. Yeah, there are a lot of people who like McDonald's, but like, and more people get McDonald's and eat at McDonald's than a Gordon Ramsay place. But no, they don't want to go work at McDonald's. So yeah, some of these directors may want to, but I just feel like it's such an when you're talking to Jane Campion, a great director, about her latest film, Power of the Dog, a great film, and that's one of the questions you ask her. And out of all the questions you ask her, that's what you make your headline. It just seems so desperate to me for clicks and attention, and just not what you should be talking about when you have a director like that in your hands. So yeah, that didn't sit well with me. I just feel like we should move on from asking these people about that nonstop. Yeah, so that was my mini variety rant. Other first reactions. The first reactions for Encanto came out this week. The last true animation contender, I think, that we have not seen yet. And it got some pretty good reviews. So looking at it, um, Kevin Pauly said Encanto is a really good movie with really great music. Not going to be surprised if it's the one that gets Lin-Manuel Miranda the EGOT. Um, what else do we have here? The distracted Titania said, Encanto may be one of the best films I have seen all year. I was generally touched throughout and I couldn't stop myself from dancing in my seat. From pitch perfect performances to gorgeous animation to storylines that really hit home, this movie is set to be a classic. And let's do one more. Jenna Bush says Disney's Encanto is just lovely. It's full of so much energy and fun. I'm not always a musical fan, but Louisa's song has been in my head since the screening. It's the perfect family film. Also, cute animated rats are always a happy thing for me. So yeah, good reviews. It's not like huge buzz surrounding it. It seems like it's just another one of those good Disney movies. I don't think it's going to be contending for something like right now. I at least don't think it's going to win. I think it'll be nominated for best animated feature, but this kind of buzz isn't currently making me feel like it could win. I mean, maybe. I mean, it hasn't actually released yet, so I'll have to see for myself how it is. But right now, I'm not feeling it for Encanto. I would think it's probably still right now between Luca and Mitchell's versus the Machines, and I would personally be rooting for Mitchell's versus the Machines within that. But yeah, Encanto getting good reviews, looking good for that. Looking definitely gonna get a nomination, but and then could like they said in there, get a song nomination, and who knows, maybe could win song. That's gonna be a crowded category this year. I do believe a Beyonce song is probably what I would say is going to win right now. But yeah, still really good reviews overall. That's Encanto, and that was pretty much it for the news this week. Not a ton. I did see right before I hopped on to record the Hollywood Reporter roundtable for Best Actress dropped already. And I'm so excited to watch that. But the lineup they had I thought was really good. Kristen Stewart, Jessica Chastain, Tessa Thompson, Kirsten Dunst. Who am I forgetting? There's one other person, and Amelia Jones. Were all on there, and that's a good lineup. I just, in particular, getting. Did I say Jessica Chastain? Maybe I missed her. I don't know. In particular, Amelia Jones being able to be on that roundtable, I think that's really awesome for her and for her career. I'm glad that they gave her that little boost. Because I doubt she will get any big nods towards her performance in Coda, just because that category is so crowded. Jennifer Hudson was the other person. Also, I just remembered. But yeah, I don't think she'll get a ton of nominations for that performance, but she was really, really good in that movie, and she had a lot to do. She had sign language, all that stuff, singing, and just giving a good performance, and she did all of that. So I'm glad she's getting some attention. And yeah, Jennifer Hudson. I still don't think she's gonna get nominated, but she's regaining a little buzz lately, I feel like, because she's also being honored. I saw at some sort of film thing. I forget what it was, but she was being honored at that festival or whatever it was. So yeah, she's getting a little buzz here, but I still don't think it'll be enough. That movie released in August, so it's too crowded for either of them to get in, sadly. But I'm excited to watch that later. I'm also excited to see their lineup for Best Actor and Director and such. Hopefully George Clooney doesn't sneak his way into the Best Director roundtable this year once again, but we'll have to see. So now, there are 2 trailers this week that dropped that I decided, like I did when I did a previous solo episode, let's live react to them, because why not? The first, Nightmare Alley, dropped a trailer this week that has like 11 million views, and I just learned about this yesterday, which shocked me. I feel like I would have heard about it earlier, but I guess not. And Jockey, the Clifton Collins Jr. film, also dropped a trailer. Lots of accolades towards his performance in that. But let's start off with Nightmare Alley. Reacting to that right now.
You don't fool people, Stan. They fool themselves.
Nightmare Alley. Only in theaters December 17th. Final trailer starts now.
One of those annoying pre-trailer trailers.
I will ask you simple questions. You will answer in short sentences only what you believe to be absolute truth.
Cinematography.
Do that. Now, brief as you can, what is your name?
Stanton Carlisle.
Are you a true medium?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Carlisle,
Doctor, how about that?
please lay down.
So
Can you read minds?
Yes, I can. Under the right circumstances.
Keep your answers brief.
What do I want?
To be found out, same as everybody else.
tell me what?
Are you in contact with the beyond?
Well, we've had our share of snake charmers in the past. We deal with them.
Jenkins.
You don't fool people, Stan. They fool themselves.
I've given you a fortune. It's time that you delivered.
When does it end? I want to know.
The actress is in this.
If you displease the right people, the world closes in on you very, very fast.
Look at that cast. Okay, that didn't show a ton of new stuff per se. Didn't really learn anything more of what it's about. But I know he's a guy who like reads minds, and he teams up with Kate Blanchett, I believe, to like scam people. Very Kate Blanchett focused trailer here. She probably had the most lines out of everyone, which I don't mind. She's being run in supporting actress though, and Rooney Mara in lead actress, which based off this trailer I would guess would be otherwise, but not the case. It looks good, cinematography, production design, all the text that we'll definitely get into. Acting wise, right now I think it would just probably be Blanchett, maybe a supporting actor like Jenkins or like Defoe. Don't think Cooper's gonna get in, and I don't think Mara's gonna get in. Both of those categories are too crowded for them to both get in. But yeah, looks really good. I'm excited for Guillermo del Toro's next film after Shape of Water. Yeah, looks good. It still didn't reveal a ton of stuff. I'm still kind of confused about the whole movie, but I'm excited still. That's that. And then the Jockey trailer. Let's get ready to watch this one. Collins Jr. I believe he's a boxer, I believe. But let's find out right now.
Out of all the things you do in life, there's that 1 minute that you feel like you're the most important thing in the world because everybody's watching.
That's a good shot.
I was a great jockey for a little while.
How you doing, Jess?
I'm doing real good. I'm feeling good.
Just tell me what's going on.
It's just wear and tear.
You've done some damage. You need to get yourself to a doctor.
You are a doctor.
I'm a horse doctor.
You seen that new kid been training at Jerry's barn? Yeah, he can ride.
Kid from Hannah Montana.
I'm gonna cross the stretch. That's right. Let him feel it. I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna push back. Push back. Push back. You know, when you get older, you start to realize.
The cinematography is really good.
Look, I know I'm not in the same shape.
Really
yet,
good.
but I still got a good couple years left in me.
So it's a horse riding film. I thought it was a boxing film.
We come this far together, right? You could just have a love, Vicky. I mean, just a dance.
Might be a little worse shaped than what I thought.
I saw this photo and I thought, what if I could be somebody like that?
I'm sure you caught wind of my winnings and came to some conclusion, but by the time your earnings get carved up, there's not a whole lot left for the jockey.
Interesting trailer music here. Very interesting.
There ain't no better world. There's just this one.
Okay. Yeah. That looks good. I think the main takeaway in this one as well is also the cinematography. It looked really good, better than I expected. Lots of good sunset and sunrise shots. Good use of like smoke and such. Clifton Collins looks good, as everyone expected. Didn't know the kid from Hannah Montana was in it. I forget his name, Rico. But yeah, overall looked really good. Not really good. Looked pretty good. I don't know why I thought it was a boxing movie. I'm excited to see it whenever it does release, to see Clifton Collins' performance. But as for Oscar chances, none. Sorry. Maybe Clifton Collins, like somewhere. But probably not. The Oscars. Yeah, but looked really good. So yeah, those are the two trailers this week. I thought both of them pretty good. But yeah, now we're gonna get into some reviews of the recent releases. Starting off with King Richard. We have been anticipating this film for a little while. Will Smith, lots of accolades surrounding his performance ever since it started premiering at some festivals like Telluride and places like that. Going into it, just so you know, I'm not a huge sports film or a biopic fan. In most cases, they don't work for me. But, in this case, it surprised me. It really did work for me. Will Smith, this whole movie is Will Smith's show, and his performance here is incredible. Probably my favorite of his. I'm not quite sure. It's definitely like top 2 or 3. They show footage at the end of the movie of the real Richard Williams, and he completely embodies like his movements, his vocals, and everything. He just transforms into his look, mannerisms, accent, all of it perfectly. Um, so yeah, this is like I saw some people were like thinking this is going to be like a Blind Side win, like how Sandra Bullock won for Blind Side. I'd say this is a significantly better performance than Bullock's was in Blind Side. So I think if he does win, which is looking very likely, he would be very, very deserving. But getting to the actual movie, Richard throughout the movie can be really annoying as a character, as he's fanatical in getting what he wants and getting his daughters to be these huge big tennis stars, and he doesn't know when to stop or how to not intervene. He lies to people and leaves out like crucial information in deals. He acts very selfishly at times, but all of this, he still remains likable because one of Will Smith's charisma and his performance here, and two, you know that the character only wants the best for his daughters. And also, it helps knowing that all of this bad stuff or like not so nice stuff that he's done, it still worked out, and all that he predicted came true. So that works in his favor as well. And while some people, like especially their neighbor, may think he's being too hard on his kids, the movie itself, through that monologue within that scene when people from, I believe, Child Protective Services come over, what he says to her about like how they have to keep working them hard so they like have a better future life, and how it's harder for them, obviously. That within the film was a good argument, and also just in general, you see the way some of these other parents teach and go around their kids at these tennis tournaments for these like junior tennis players, young tennis players, and how there are certain ones who like whenever they miss or do anything wrong, they're like screaming at themselves like you're terrible, like and like hitting their racket, throwing it. And it's like okay, and whereas Will Smith or Richard is just telling his daughters like just have fun. It's just for fun. He's not like putting a ton of pressure on them. He's in certain ways he is, but he's just telling them have fun. That's all he's doing, and they deliver. But yeah, it shows the way how certain parents could definitely not be the best, certain sports parents, and how Richard was a good sports parent probably overall. I do think it's probably a little too kind to him, especially with the Williams sisters involved. I do think with them involved it's probably a kinder portrayal than actual reality was, but that's to be expected. And while Will Smith is the star here, just as big of a standout here would be Aunjanue Ellis for her performance as their mother, Oracene. She is just incredible here. She portrays like she gives a realistic portrayal of a mom. She's just as important to these girls as Richard is. She has emotions of like, she's really fierce in certain moments, and she's also very emotional and vulnerable in other moments, and she just nails all of it. She was extremely likable. I wish she had more screen time. I just really, really loved her performance here, especially in the kitchen scene. That's all you need to know if you've seen the movie. The kitchen scene, if and when she gets nominated for supporting actress, that will be the clip that they will play, and I will love to have seen it again. So yeah, she was the other big standout performance here, but also, there's so many good performances in this. The two also, I think that surprised me more because I didn't see a ton of buzz surrounding them going into the film. Saniyya Sidney and Demi Singleton, they're just perfect as Venus and Serena Williams here. They're both doing two of the best young performances I've seen this year. They just portray the sisters perfectly. For this movie to truly work, both of these actresses, they need to give a good performance, and they totally deliver in that aspect, in every aspect, really, that they're asked to do. And since the movie is more focused on Venus here, as she was older than Serena, so she started her career earlier, Sydney gets more to do. Saniyya Sidney gets more to do than Demi Singleton, and she has a few great acting scenes opposite Will Smith. And when you're like on the same level as Will Smith in an acting scene, especially the emotional ones, you know that this person is a good actor. So I'm excited to see both of their future careers. Demi Singleton, there's a nice moment between Serena and Richard towards the end that he talks to her, and he's like, Venus may be like the greatest right now, but you're going to be the greatest of all time. And that came true. So both of those young actors, really, really good performances here. I would like to see, especially Sinai Sydney, since she got more to do, some sort of campaign surrounding her, but uh, I think they're going to put their focus on Aunjanue Ellis, so it doesn't take away, but really good here. I wish she gets some sort of recognition somewhere. And also in the supporting category, John Bernthal as Ricky, one of their coaches. You know, John Bernthal is in like everything lately. I feel like he pops up like everywhere. And a lot of the times he plays like the same character, you know, that you expect from John Bernthal, like Punisher, like all those tougher guys. But here he's given a bit of a different role. He's this rich, but also kind of nerdy tennis coach. He's just fantastic in it. He has a nice accent that he does. Really, really good performance. He surprised me here. And I would say also a very possible nomination here. And I would love to see John Bernthal get an Oscar nomination. He is just, I love him as an actor. Also, Tony Goldwyn has a smaller role in the first half of the film as one of their previous tennis coaches. And he was also really good here. All the performance is really good. Just wanted to give him a shout out as well. So yeah, this is better. This also had better than direction than your average biopic here from Ronaldo Marcus Green. You can actually see some vision and style within the movie, which you don't get within a lot of biopics. And the way the tennis scenes also are shot and directed. You know, tennis is a movie or a sport that I don't kind of like the way Queen's Gambit portrayed chess. I have no clue how to play chess. The only tennis knowledge I have is from Wii Sports. So when they started going like 15 love and stuff, I'm like, I've heard that before. So I kind of knew what was happening, but I truly didn't know. But yeah, I don't really understand tennis as a sport. It's a fun sport to watch though, and the way they direct it also made it even more entertaining. And there's something about the sound also of just a tennis ball hitting a tennis racket, very satisfying. So the sound design was also good there. Good editing also. Could also get into editing. But yeah, speaking of there being more style, one of my favorite shots that I just want to shout out here is when Richard gets beaten up and he's laying down on the tennis court and the tennis cart knocks over all the tennis balls and they're rolling past him. I just thought that was a very really good shot that's going to be stuck in my mind when I think of this movie. So that was a really good shot. Really good direction from Ronaldo Marcus Green, especially since this is, I think, like one of his first few films that he's made. I would expect him to be doing some big things in the future. Who knows? Maybe he'll get a few director nods some places, maybe even at the Academy. You never know. I do think my one complaint really would be, you know, it is long. It's like 2 hours and 25 minutes, I believe. That wouldn't be my complaint. It's very, very well paced, surprisingly so. You know, if someone told me this is going to be 2 hours and 25 minutes, I would kind of be a little scared about that because for this topic, I wouldn't think it would need to be that long, but it's incredibly paced. So that's another reason it could probably get into editing. But my one complaint is I do think the more interesting story here is Venus and Serena Williams. It's about the two sisters, how they rose up next to each other and their family and how they stayed good friends and sisters within their family, but how on the courts they were pitted against each other. And I do think there's a lot that you could explore within them and their emotions surrounding everything going on. But they chose to focus on Richard here. And I did see an interview with the two sisters talking about why they chose to focus on Richard here. So it's not really even a true complaint. It's just kind of what I feel like maybe they should have done. But, you know, I'm super happy still with what we got. I also liked how this movie explores parenthood. Through sports, it's just as much a movie about parenthood and how hard and difficult it is to be a parent and everything surrounding that. It's just as much about family and all of that as it is about tennis. So that was also really nice to see. But yeah, overall, this is really good. A huge crowd pleaser, I would imagine. Like you recommend it to your parents and grandparents and such. I feel like this is a movie that. This is truly a 4-quadrant movie. I feel like anyone and everyone could enjoy this, which is a hard thing to achieve these days. So really good. So it's an inspirational, it's a feel-good film with Oscar caliber performances, emotion, comedy, heart, all of it. It's the total package, and I highly recommend it. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. So yeah, that's King Richard. Highly recommend it. I would recommend it just a little more than this next movie. The next movie we'll be reviewing is Tick, Tick, Boom. starring Andrew Garfield. It's about Jonathan Larson, who on the cup of his 30th birthday. He's a promising theater composer and playwright, and he has to navigate love, friendship, and the pressure he puts on himself and surrounding him to create something great before time runs out. That's a big thing throughout this whole movie. It starts off with him talking about he keeps hearing these ticks in his head, and he feels like he's running out of time to do something great. He goes over like these certain people, I forget who, like when they were his age, they already like had this huge play, and they already like were hugely successful. Or his own parents, how they already had kids, they were already married, all of that, and how he's on the cusp of his 30th birthday, and he feels like he hasn't done anything. So I do think that was nice the way it portrayed like the need to get something done, and like the feeling of losing time, even though he's 29 years old. I mean, I feel like that's a little bit of an exaggeration, Mr. Larson, but he did die young, which is sad. So he was truly running out of time, and I think he didn't know it at the time. I'm not quite sure. This film did confuse me in some places, to be honest. But yeah, getting into the good parts first, and obviously the good part here, Andrew Garfield is the star and the main takeaway here. He's giving what's likely his best performance yet, honestly. He's given a lot of good performances. This Social Network, Hacksaw Ridge, I do think this may be his best, just because he's given so much to do here. So many different emotions, highs and lows to portray of this character and everything that he's going through. And he does it all in a great way. He does it in a theatrical way, but also in a very realistic way, which is really hard balance to strike. And also, I did not know Andrew Garfield could sing, and he sings really good in this movie. I was surprised. I don't know if he has a singing background or anything. I didn't even think of that. But he can sing very well. So that's also just a big thumbs up part of his performance. But yeah, the movie overall, it's rough around the edges in a lot of places. It definitely has flaws. I do think Garfield, though, does carry the movie to a definite higher level. I'm also, just because Anthony did review this last week and he liked it probably a lot more than I did. I don't think I'm exactly the intended audience for it. I can tell just in the few cameos that I saw. This is intended for huge musical theater fans. And I like musical theater, but I'm not like a huge fan. I only recognize like 2 or 3 of the cameos, and I just think in general, this is Lin giving a movie as a musical theater fan to the musical theater fans. So I'm not quite the exact audience for it, but I still did enjoy it a good amount. Another complaint here: the songs are not particularly memorable. I don't think I can think of one. I can think of the one towards the beginning-ish, the 30-39, the one where he's talking like he's just running out of time. But even when I say that, I think of the Hamilton song. Right, like you're running out of time. But yeah, even then, Bo Burnham still has the better I'm about to turn 30. Even then, Bo Burnham still has the best I'm about to turn 30 song this year in Inside. So they can't even top that. But yeah, it's not like the songs are bad. They're all very catchy, and they're well done. They're all the singers are good here. But none of them were particularly memorable. High School Musical fans, we get to hear a good few minutes of Vanessa Hudgens' really good voice, which I was glad to hear. It's been a while since I've heard her sing. I do wish she had more of a presence within this film. I was confused by what exactly her character's purpose within the movie was. Kind of confused me there. But a supporting performance here that is really, really good. Robin DeJesus, he's the standout here alongside Garfield. He delivers an incredible supporting performance here. He has a few standout scenes. He's given some good emotional material to work with. He just seems like a really good friend too. In a just world, he would get an Oscar nomination for this. Sadly, I don't think we're living in a just world for that. Miranda's direction here, I'd say it's kind of bland. There's a few scenes that are exceptions to that. Like I think the pool scene with the notes under the pool was pretty nice, and I do think the diner scene where he like made a like whole stage and play out of that was probably the best directed scene in the whole film. Like King Richard, Larson here can be a rather unlikable guy in what he chooses to prioritize. But both of those films, King Richard and this show, sometimes how far you have to go to find true, like, huge success, and what that does to your relationships within love interests or family, all that. Yeah, so I do think both of the films portray that pretty well. And I do like this movie overall. It's a really good portrayal of the creative process. I do think that's one of the best parts of it. And it's the two performances here, along with that aspect, would be the best parts of it. Of the performances of Garfield and Robin De Jesus, along with the way it portrays the creative writing process, would be the standouts for me within this movie. I like it. I think Garfield's probably its only chance at anything Oscar related. And I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5, around that range. Probably closer to 7. But yeah, it's still a pretty good movie. I would recommend it. It's on Netflix. Check it out. See if you like it. It's worth a shot. And then getting into our category spotlight here, we're going to spotlight Best Actor because, King Richard and Tick, Tick, Boom did just both come out this past weekend. Both good Best Actor contenders. So getting into my list here. At number 1, we have, of course, Will Smith for King Richard. Don't think anyone's going to stop him from winning his Oscar, which is going to be nice. That's going to be a nice moment. I'm happy for him. Number 2, I have Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog. I've seen both of these performances now because I just saw Will Smith. I've seen most of the performances here. I don't know which one I like more. Benedict Cumberbatch is giving a really good performance too. I'll have to think about which one I like more personally, but I do have him at number 2. Really good performance. Number 3, I have Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. This movie keeps moving down a lot of the rankings within like pretty much every category. I don't have Francis getting nominated anymore. Don't have it getting into picture, screenplay. I still have it getting into cinematography, but I do think Denzel's still going to get in there just because he seems to be the performance that's getting the most praise. Macbeth is a meaty role, and it's Denzel Washington playing Macbeth, so I think still very likely. Number 4, what I just talked about, Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom. I do think this is very likely. The industry, from what I've seen, seems to really like, especially his performance here. And I do think he'll get in there even if the movie is not a huge contender overall, which I don't think it will be. Kind of like Denzel will get in, even though Macbeth won't be a huge contender overall. And then that 5th spot, I do think those first 4 are pretty much close to locked, besides maybe Denzel. But that 5th spot, I've got like 3 people fighting for it. You've got Peter Dinklage for Cyrano fighting for it. You've got Joaquin Phoenix for Come On, Come On. You've got Leo DiCaprio for Don't Look Up, which we just heard in the reviews. He seems like most people were pointing him out in particular as the standout performance here. And then maybe Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos. I think that's definitely possible too. But those would be the main contenders. Don't count out Mahershala Ali in Swan Song too, because people say it's his best performance yet. And they obviously like him. He just won 2 years in a row. Not 2 years in a row, 2 years within like 2 times within like 3 years. So they do really like him, and if it's his best performance, that's high praise. But those are the 4 I would say are fighting for that 5th spot. As who I would give it to right now, I'm leaning towards Dinklage, but I'm not completely sure about that. I don't think it'll be Bardem right now, at least. Maybe Ali, but I don't really think so. I think probably not Phoenix, but maybe. But I do think it's one of his more subtle performances from what I've seen from the reviews. And they generally don't go for a ton of subtle performances, as we've seen from what Joaquin Phoenix just won for. So I would say right now it's between Dinklage and DiCaprio. And right now, I want to say Dinklage, but I feel like I may have to give DiCaprio the edge. Just because I've had the same top 5 for like months, let's take out Dinklage and let's put in DiCaprio in the 5th spot. As sad as I may be about that, I do think that's probably what will happen. There's usually at least one acting nomination within the Best Actor category that is a performance within a movie that isn't going to be nominated for Best Picture. And right now, if I have Dinklage in there, that would be 3 Best Actor performances getting into Best Actor that their movies aren't in Best Picture, with Tick, Tick, Boom, Macbeth, and Cyrano. And I don't think that's very common. I would have to look back on it, but I think there's at least usually 3 performances within Best Actor that their movies were in Best Picture. And I do think Don't Look Up will be in Best Picture. So DiCaprio, congratulations, you're getting in there. Poor Peter Dinklage. I really hope he does get in. He deserves an Oscar nomination. I haven't seen the movie, but just from his past work, he's so good. So that was category Spotlight. That's pretty much everything this week. Now, heading over to the Q&A section, see if we've got anything decent here. I did only post this like 45 minutes ago, so probably not much. So let's see. We've got one question from Constance, a true queen and angel, one of the best viewers ever. The question is, what other past Oscar winners are you planning to review? Currently, sadly, I did not have time for another one this week because this weekend I was mostly focused on Tick, Tick, Boom and King Richard, along with Succession, of course, as I have to be focused on every Sunday. That is like my whole Sunday is centered around Succession. So sadly, I did not have time for a retrospective review this week. I also like to plan those around with Anthony and Ben to see what they also haven't seen. That's how we came to the No Country for Old Men conclusion, because none of us have seen that movie. So it would probably have to be something that we all haven't seen, which I'm not quite sure what movies that falls under. But just looking at some of the previous like huge winners, I haven't seen Argo, so that's definitely possible because that won Best Picture. I haven't seen The Artist, that won Best Picture. I haven't seen The King's Speech, that won Best Picture. What else haven't I seen? I've seen most of the recent Best Picture winners. I haven't seen The Hurt Locker, so that's possible too. I'm just going through all the Best Picture winners. I haven't seen Slumdog Millionaire. Have not seen that. Let's look at a few others. I haven't seen. We just watched No Country for Old Men. I've seen Pieces of The Departed. I'm not sure I completely remember it, but I don't think that would be fair to do a retrospective review if I've seen parts of it, and I know like Everyone Who Dies. I did see Crash. I watched Crash like last year during the pandemic. Not a great movie, not a great movie. $1 Million Baby I have not seen. Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Wow. Did I get all the way to like 2003 just through those clicks? That's surprising. I have not seen Lord of the Rings Return of the King. I have only seen Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, which will upset, I'm sure, some people. After watching the first movie, I just did not feel that compelled to continue. I will watch them at some point. I've been intending to watch them for like ever. They're one of those movies that it's like you're embarrassed to say you haven't seen. I've seen the first one, at least. I've seen all the Hobbit films also. I'm probably one of the only people out there who's seen all the Hobbit films, but not all the Lord of the Rings films, which is odd, but so we could do that also. I'm sure probably Ben and Anthony have both probably seen those, though, but that's just looking at some of the ones that have won Best Picture. There's plenty of other ones that have contended and won in like directing and certain performances that we may want to look at. Like I have not seen Charlize Theron in Monster. That would be a fun one to talk about. Also, if you have any ideas about what movies you would like to see that we haven't talked about, it's possible we have seen them, but if you go back like even just like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, there's a chance but probably haven't seen them, just because I only started really following the Oscars in like 2017. But yeah, reach out, let us know if you've got any suggestions in regards to that. And that pretty much concludes this week's episode of Weekly Oscar Talk. There will be November Oscar predictions coming very soon. I'm gonna film those hopefully before I leave for Thanksgiving. House of Gucci comes out for Thanksgiving. We'll have to see how quick I can get a review out for that, because I'm not sure when I'll see it. Encanto also comes out for Thanksgiving, so we'll have to see how much we have seen come next week. But there will of course be an episode next week for you to all watch if you want to. And yeah, hopefully with someone else, some other co-hosts in there. But yeah, that's this week's probably shorter episode of Weekly Oscar Talk. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep talking Oscars, especially here if you want to. And yeah, stay cool, my friends.